Had a very disappointing purchase. I'll probably be returning this, but it's kind of a post to try to warn others about this particular filter, and it's the A2 filter size in particular that I think has the defect. And although it says it comes with a true HEPA filter, I don't believe that the A2 filter, at least not when operating in this unit, is HEPA. And I'll show you why. So let's take a look at this unit here. You'll notice I left the tape on, and that's because the handle on the back, when you pick it up, it tips forward and this pretty much falls right off. At least that's the experience I've had with it. It's not very well clipped on there. So here's the A2 filter. And you can see what's wrong with it immediately is that there's this strip around the outside, and that strip isn't HEPA at all. It's something else entirely, and it's also not really weather stripping. And it's actually very permeable for air to get through the sealing strip on the sides. I know this because this smells very distinct. This type of plastic has a very distinct odor, and this machine pretty much outputs that odor. The HEPA itself has an odor, but it's distinct from how this strip smells. And the main issue you can just demonstrate very clearly, I don't know if it'll show up, but the actual HEPA filter itself will sit into these grooves. So the filter size, the actual HEPA range is less than the distance of the rigid backing material. So there's these little slots, and the air is just bypassing the filter, and it's going through these edge slots. So the only thing that's really sealing this filter in here, because there's no solid plastic backing here, because they've carved these ridges into it, means that all the air is bypassing effectively. Sorry if that was misworded. But all the air goes right past, and I just don't think it's a HEPA filter. Now, like, I could try to peel this off here and maybe put actual weather stripping on there, but when I have to buy another filter, like, the main problem is that the actual HEPA filter is too small, and they added this strip when really they should just give a bigger HEPA filter. But maybe they're trying to make up for other design problems. I mean, realistically, this should just form a mechanical seal, and that should be that. I really don't like this material that's on the outsides, because it's very permeable, and I don't think it creates a true HEPA seal either. And it's extremely stinky to operate. I mean, normally when you change the filter, it's going to stink for a day or two, but I couldn't put up with the odor that's being output by this. Not even for one day. It was too much, even in the basement, and it was just too much. I think that there are other models they had right next to it that just use the regular A filter without this weird sealing strip are probably fine. And my plan would be to exchange it for one of those, realistically. I don't like this model at all. If I were to use it, I would have to remove this and replace it with weather stripping, which is supposed to be impermeable, right, for air. I mean, it should be a lot less permeable anyway. So yeah, that's my word of caution. Unless you really enjoy the smell of plastic, don't buy this filter. I'll show you the filter that I can vouch for. I've had one of these for 3 years. It's working really good still. I've changed the filters multiple times, and I just bought another one, and it only stinks for maybe an hour or two when you first turn it on with a new filter. And it doesn't stink nearly as bad as the other one, which I think part of this stink was the filter, but also part of it was just the plastic the fan blades and the rest of the housing is made out of. When I first turned that machine on, it actually blew tiny strips of paper thin plastic out of it. So they hadn't even run it in the factory. I mean, eventually maybe it would have gotten greasy enough that it would no longer stink like plastic, but I just couldn't run it for that long when I really just wasn't happy with it overall. While the other one does support the charcoal or carbon pre-filter, this one actually comes with the carbon pre-filter. That's the A filter, and it also has an R HEPA filter. I'm much happier with this one. I'll show some of the features of it real quick. It has multiple modes, so this is the quietest mode. It has a dimmer, so you can make it dim and turn off the blue LED entirely if you want to. You can kick it up. So it has 4 power levels, 3 of those, and then there's the turbo mode. So this is my old one, 3 years old, still works good, and the new one is now upstairs. I ran it for a day in the basement and then moved it up. And the power button will cycle it to off. The filter lights come on, you can just hold the button to reset, and that's the auto shut off, which I never use. But it's quite a nice machine, I think, in terms of air filters. You can push it and it unclicks, and that's the pre-filter. You can see, and the HEPA filter is behind the pre-filter, and I periodically vacuum the pre-filter just to keep the cat hair from plugging it up. And it clicks on really nicely. So that's it. And it has a little card, quick reference, and I like it a lot. Definitely what I expected to get when I bought the other one was something like this one.